Good morning. So, I'm gonna try this and keep working. Don't let me. You tell me to go back to work. Don't let me stand here and just chat at you. I have work to do. I wanted to talk about the difference between a horse that's got a "Oh my God, what are you doing to me?" response to something, or a horse that's like, "Come on, I dare you," right? Because you have to handle both of those differently. So let's just start with handling, say, a baby's feet, Oopie's feet in particular. When I handle a young horse's feet for the first time and they kick out as a result of the stimulation or the sensation of somebody touching them, I will allow a kick out. I'll allow like what looks like they got a bug on them, like oh, what's that? I'll allow that. And the mindset behind allowing that is, once they realize I'm not trying to hurt them, they don't need to do that. But right now they feel that like they need to protect themselves, because as a prey animal, really their only defense against predators is flight. So I'm gonna need to be able to, keep my feet. If I can't get caught up, like they can't get my feet. So they're just protecting their line of defense of, self-preservation. But when the look on their eye is, "Oh my God, what are you doing to me? Oh my God, what's happening? Oh my God, what is that?" When they have kind of that, fear look that, wait, what? What are you doing? Wait, what? Oh, don't touch me there, right? When they do that, and it's kind of like, "Hey, no, don't touch that." When they do that, I don't respond. I don't even react. They'll get over it. They'll realize I'm not trying to hurt them, and then they'll stop feeling they need to do that. But there's a difference between lack of education and behavioral situation. Okay, so this little horse, Oopie, he's learning about his feet being handled. Now, here's the funny thing: is we were told that he was good with his feet, good with the farrier, blah blah blah. He has no education about his feet being handled, and he's very calculated about his response to having even his legs touched. Okay, so in his case, he doesn't go, "Ah, ah." He goes, "Go ahead, touch it. I dare you. Go ahead. Come on. Go ahead, touch it." And when you do, knowing that he has made this whole kind of like threat to you, he goes, he's very, very athletic, very, very talented. He will kick, I call it a roundhouse kick, okay? Some horses cow kick and they bring their leg up under them and they kick out. If you're standing beside them, they can nail you, right? So they go like that, okay? A normal kick out is like that, right? Well, this horse goes, he does the whole gamut. Well, he's determined he's going to get you, like one way or another, he's getting you. Now, originally, out of giving him the benefit of the doubt, even though the look in his eye, his ears were pinned, the whole 9 yards, giving him the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't just like saying, "What are you doing to me? Don't touch my leg," I allowed some of those kicking things to happen. Now, if it's behavioral, where it's a "I dare you," those things will escalate. They will go from, "Oh, don't touch me, don't touch me." They'll go from that to the calculated roundhouse, right? That, which that's actually even a very advanced kick coming, because like I said, that's an athletic move to be able to kick like that. Like they usually either just kick out or cow kick. They don't usually do like a combination. So for him, he means it. That's behavioral. That's calculated. He wants to kick me. Ignoring that escalates. And I had given him the benefit of the doubt up until the other day to have it be just I'm undereducated, I don't know what you're trying to do, but I'm going to defend myself, versus I dare you, I dare you, come on, go ahead, touch it, go ahead, touch it, I dare you, touch it. Now I know for sure that it's I dare you, because I went into the stall. He had come in so good. He's also learning different things about how to lead properly, how to mirror me, how to, walk with me, stop with me, slow down with me, speed up with me, all without me having to manage him, right? He's just supposed to read me. I try not to give him support by wiggling the line for slow down or leading him forward for speed up. I try to let my shoulder position, like if my shoulders go forward, it means we're going to speed up or go from a standstill. If my shoulders are neutral, we're cruise control. If my shoulders go slightly back, we're going to slow down, stop, or back up. And I'm expecting him to learn that. If I stand up real tall and stop my body, I want him to read that as well and stop, and not require me to support that in any way by influencing the line. And he's doing great. He came in the other day great. And I was like, okay, he was so good. Let me just see, So I went down there and I was like, can I go in and pick up his front feet? I wasn't going to mess with his back feet. Pick up his front feet without a halter on. Now, the only thing that I was concerned about was him trying to bite me, because that's been a go-to thing for him, is like, usually within 10 feet of leaving the gate, he tries to bite me, and that's kind of stopped. He'll try to bite me like once we're in the barn, maybe once. And that's all kind of subsided. So I'm like, he came in so good, and he's not really trying to bite me that much anymore. So let's see if I can go in there and pick up a foot, knowing that he should understand now about picking up his feet, that he's not going to defend himself and try to bite me, right? Well, that resulted in him going snap, right? He snapped it up to where his heel hit himself in his elbow, and then he stomped it down, and then the back foot came under him, and he roundhoused at me and kicked the wall, to the point to where I looked back to see, did he just break a board? There's that much torque in this kick. It was absolutely nothing about that was knee jerk. It was all, the only thing that made it surprise him was me coming in and reaching down for his leg. This horse I taught the word lift to, so that way I know he has a full education. When I bend down like this, I'm going to say lift, and that means we're going to engage with your feet. Because he was so defensive about his feet, to where I wanted to give him even a verbal cue. I don't give my horses normally a verbal cue, and I wanted to give him a verbal cue. So when I go down and I get to where his knee is, I'm about to touch just below his knee, and I say lift, and that's when he snapped his leg up. Will I say, because I surprised him, that I didn't have all the apparatus, I didn't have the tools on his face and stuff like that? Could I say that I somewhat shocked him? Fine, we'll go that far. But everything else is calculated. And then anyway, that was an escalation, huge escalation of what are you doing to me, right? So he got an education about kicking. So I went and I got my rope halter, and which has a 12-foot line on it with a popper, little leather, like snake's tongue off of it, right? And now, I went to touch his foot again, and he kicked the wall again. So that turned into, now it's time to discipline this, because this is only going to get bigger. This is not protect myself. This is calculated, right? So this is just going to get bigger. And it did. Throughout the course of this lesson, it got bigger until it got over. He, as soon as I touched him, snapped, kicked the wall again. But my adrenaline was already pumping from the original, where did that come from kind of thing. And I have very good control of my adrenaline, meaning I don't all of a sudden haul off and beat up the horse. And I know there's a lot of trainers who would have just totally beat the crap out of him just then. I have a lot of control. But I do have the same energy that happens to me. So I went out of the stall and I stomped down with that energy and grabbed my whole, and I had oh no, we're going to fix this right now. I had that in me, that was so when I got back to the stall, I put his halter on with a very deliberate manner, here, let's get this, and put this on. I didn't like rough him up or anything like that. I didn't come in aggressive. I came in very deliberate. Touched his foot, kicked the wall. I stood up and in a very loud, I'm talking like heavy metal singer loud, like, no! And it threw him up against the wall. Just my voice threw him up against the wall with like that. Now there's my, oh my God, in his eye, right? There's the OMG. Like, oh, where did you come from? And my horses know if they cause me to raise my voice that they did something really wrong. My horses are like, they never trigger that from me. They know better. So then the next time I went to reach, he kicked the wall. He got the no, but he also got the no at the same time that he got tagged in the butt with the end of that line, right? With just a straight down tag in the butt. So he knew, and it was tag in like where you could see the tail, like where the butt cheek kind of sticks out and the tail would tuck down. So he got kind of tagged in that butt cheek, hind leg kind of thing, but not in any of the tendon stuff, but like up in the meat. And he got tagged there with that big no. So now he's going to associate that no with physical discipline. Then the next time he did it, he also got the big growly no and another tag because it's escalating. This is becoming a behavioral problem, right? So he's now like full on, like you can see him sizing up the wall, kicking the wall. If he were to kick me with that kind of power that he's using in this behavior, he'd break my leg. There's no question about it. He'd break my leg. He could probably break my femur. Like femurs are very hard to break, but he could probably break my femur if he got me up in the higher leg. So, I can't. I couldn't sleep that night. I got an hour and a half of sleep, and I don't sleep at all as it is. So to get an hour and a half of sleep was terrible. I couldn't sleep that night because all I'm thinking is if he ever kicks anybody, and I'm thinking about something that happened already where, like, thank God he didn't kick. The vet, when she first met him, she came up, put a thermometer in his butt, and didn't think anything of that he would try to kick her. I didn't know he would, he didn't display that as a go-to move yet. And, we were just, it's a baby, kind of thing. And we got lucky. Like, he did not react. But now I would have the, oh my God, this is, so when the vet came to do the next set of shots, I even told him, I said, okay, so he's ambidextrous with his front feet. He doesn't really care which front foot he uses when he strikes. He bites. If he's going to use his hind leg, he's going to use his right hind, but he has no problem kicking you from the opposite side. Like, he'll come under himself and get you on that side of you. So, and he did. In that vet visit, he did all the things I said he'll do, right down to just using the right leg. Now, the other day, he used his left leg. So now he is ambidextrous and quite powerful with the left leg as well. Has to get fixed. Like, my farrier isn't going to get kicked by this horse and want to use, even if I promise him he's all better, I promise, my farrier isn't going to want to get kicked by this horse. So I have to get this fixed. So he got tagged in the butt twice with a really, and 3 times got the really big screaming no at him that startled him enough to make him go, right? After that, same lesson, I had the rope around his leg, and he just kind of like dead-legged. He let me just kind of like pull it off the ground, fully dead-legged. And I'm like, no, you need to pick it up, So then he started to bend in the stifle and allow me to pick it up, and that was over. The video that got posted last night was the next day of where we at. At the end of that session, I was able to hold the leg with my bare hand where I'm using a rope still, and the front feet are completely fine. I have to get to where I can, I might even bring a rasp in tonight and see if I can't cause a little sensation on the bottom of his foot and see where we're at with that. But so my point is, you have to fix it when it is definitely behavioral. When the eye has evilness in it, you can see the I dare you in the eye. You can see the pursed lips, maybe even the nostril, has a little bit of a crease to like the top corner of the nostril. I know nostrils are are oval, but you could kind of pick a corner of a nostril and kind of like a sneer where they kind of sneer at you. And his ears, his ears would go back. When he did that, that's when that turns into, no, this is behavioral. This is not, I don't have an education. I don't know what you're doing to me. I'm trying to protect myself. That's one is one, the other is other. Now, when it's just, I don't know what you're doing to me, I usually just leave that alone and let them sort it out, because I'm pretty certain that, within a day of working with their feet, they're going to go, oh, yeah, it's okay. She's not going to hurt me, right? This guy's like, come on, let's do it, right? So as young as he is, he's got a personality that needs to be kept in check. And an example of like a horse where it kind of escalates into other things. I hate to bring up my neighbor's horse, but she will find excuses to kick you, right? So she's kicked me twice. She's kicked her farrier once that I know of for sure, and she's kicked the owner once that I know of for sure, right? And they're calculated kicks. They were intentional kicks. She wasn't like she got startled. It wasn't like she was undereducated about something. These were kicks that were deliberate to be landed to make a point. And, and I know when she kicked me, she used the excuse of being revved up about something. And then she's like, ha, 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 and there you are, ha, ha, right? It was absolutely like, took an opportunity to kick me because I was in the vicinity. I don't want this little horse to start doing stuff like that. I don't want to ever worry that, this little horse is going to do stuff like that. I do have an exercise that I do with them when they start to think they're going to kick you just to kick you. I told the owner, and I trained the owner in the beginning of this kind of stuff. So she does know what I'm talking about when I say I'm going to teach him not to show me his tail. They can't threaten you with their tail. Let's just say they're threatening you with their tail. Never mind the back feet, they're threatening you with their tail. And I do an exercise of basically like, hide your hiney. Like, you better never let me see that. And it's an aggressive, meaning like you're like, there's not a lot of time for them to respond. Did you not see me tip my head? Your hind end needs to move away right now. And it's a very like in the moment, like tilt, and you tag them, and it makes them shoot their hind end away. And then they'll learn that this little tip of your head means you better scoot your hind end away. My girl Katie, when she was 6 months old, I want to say it was the first day or the second day she was with me. She was only 6 months old, and she tried to double barrel me in the stall. And I got her out of the stall, and we did that lesson. And to this day, she's 17 years old. She has never shown me her hind end. And she has a little temper problem. So when she has temper tantrums, when like I'm out in the field playing with her and she gets too pushy, I'll cross my arms and I'll walk. And she'll stay with me for a little while. I'll be like, come on, pet me, stop, pet me. And I keep my arms crossed, and you're done, like you blew it. And after a few seconds, maybe a minute, she'll walk beside me, like kind of like begging me to still pet her. And when she knows that I'm going to refuse, she'll squeal, and then she'll run, but she'll kick away. She'll run off and kick up, but she'll kick in the opposite direction of me. So at 17 years old, that lesson she got at 6 months has stuck. In fact, the owner said another horse that had gotten taught that lesson when he was a baby, he tried to double barrel me twice in one session, and he got that lesson. And she said, they kept him a stallion a little bit longer than normally you would, because they thought maybe he'd make a good stallion, and he wasn't making a good stallion. And he was very dangerous, and I guess he kicked her in the arm when she went into the stall. And it was deliberate. She said it was very malicious. It was calculated. And she did that. She put a halter on him, took him out in the arena, and said, don't ever show me your tail again. Don't ever point your tail at me again. And from that day forth, he's never done it again. So sometimes it takes that lesson, which is just, you better hide that hiney, because in about 2 seconds, this rope that's coming down at your hiney is going to hit your hiney if it's not gone. And that's all the exercise is you better, right? And it's not a friendly thing. It's I'm going to kick you before you can kick me to reestablish, you know, the position on the totem pole. Like, no, you're not going to push me around. This is how this is going to work. And I already told her, like, if we can't get through this with the night before's exercise of growling at him and tagging him twice with the end of the rope for kicking the wall, he will get a formal hide your hiney type of lesson. And, you know, she's supportive of that because she understands the value of that. Maybe I would show you guys what that is if I ever had to do that. It's one of those exercises that I do for horses that are, you know, intentionally aggressive, and it usually fixes it like that. Like, usually, you know, Opie, that other horse, the other horse needed it twice, once with me and then once with her, and then he's never offered to kick again. This little guy, he's only going to get one more chance to snap out of it on his own before he gets that formal, like, come out, we're going to do this lesson, not where it's a reaction, you know, because the night before, it was a reaction, right? It was a response to him kicking the wall and me trying to be right on top of it to make sure that he can connect the behavior with the discipline. The other thing is, we're going to go out and I'm going to give you a cue, but I'm not going to give you much time to process the cue before you know that if I'm coming towards your hind end, you better shift that away. You know, don't ever put your hind end in my direction. So if he gets a formal lesson, maybe I'll videotape it for you so you can see what I'm talking about. It's not like I'm scheduling an opportunity to abuse a horse. It's not abuse. It's education on the volume that they need to stop the behavioral problem. That's basically, I guess, the best way to put it. There is a volume to it, and it is kind of a, you know, there's no learning curve in this. You're going to learn to shift your tail away from me as soon as you see this cue, and don't ever consider pointing your tail at me again. Okay, so I told you not to let me just stand here, and you did, so I gotta go. Have a great day. Bye.